Black people understood the assignment. Y'all didn't show up to any of those protests that happened throughout the country yesterday. You didn't see police dressed in riot gear. You know why? Because we weren't there. We understood the assignment. We stood down. We stayed home. We watched from the sideline. We rooted for you guys.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. On today's episode, we'll be paying attention from the April 5th protest aftermath, mostly concentrating on Black Americans who were severely warned against attending the protest. While millions of people gathered around the country to protest, most Black people were happy to watch from the sidelines. But while you have seen stunning images of crowds in places like Washington DC, New York City, Ohio, and Phoenix, one segment of the population seems to be visibly missing from all the pictures and the videos, the Black folks. Blacks were happy not to attend the protests. Let's watch the above videos keenly.
But we rooted from the sidelines. We saw you on the social media platforms. We saw you on the news channels. But we did not engage. Because had we engaged, there would have been police in riot gear. There would have been something declared. And it's called martial law. The Black community understood the assignment. It's not our fight. We didn't create this mess. It's not ours to fix. Good job, Black community. Keep it up.
Nothing today made me feel more happy and more proud that without any social media campaign, without any messagery from the NAACP, without anything coming from Black leaders, that everyone, well, the vast majority of Black folks stayed in their house. Like, when I was looking at these videos of these protests, I was like, great, I see that you're doing some form of organizing and y'all are moving with what we asked you to in 2020 from being allies to accomplices. Like, y'all are doing something. And I peeked into the crowd and I saw my brothers and sisters stayed at home, binged their favorite show, went out on a family outing, got some food, made something at the house, and stayed their behinds at home. Y'all, we're all in this together.
Why is there no coverage of the protests that took place on April 5th? There were protests that were taking place in all 50 states of the United States of America. All 50 states. Yet there was no coverage. We saw people going live. They were on Instagram Live, Facebook Live, TikTok Live, showing that the protests were happening. They indeed were happening. But why is there no media coverage on those protests? In the lives that I was seeing, that I was streaming, I saw that there were a lot of people out there. And surprise, surprise, there were a lot of white people and a lot of vets, right? And not only was I paying attention to who was in the crowd, I was paying attention to the police officers, to law enforcement, where they were, what they were doing, how did they look, how they were behaving, because I've witnessed, I've been a part of several protests, especially during the Black Lives Matter, and I know what law enforcement was looking like when it was you understand, those type of protests back in 2020. So I was looking out in the videos, in the streams, looking to spot law enforcement, to see the barricades, to see law enforcement in fucking bulletproof vests with K9 dogs and batons and forcing and huddling everybody in one corner. I was looking out for that. But I didn't see it. I didn't see any of it. I didn't see any of the treatment that would have been out there, that we would have seen had a lot of Black people been out there protesting alongside those white people and those veterans. And that leads me into my next point. The reason why there was no media coverage showing all of these protests that were happening simultaneously in all 50 states was because it would have to showcase that it was all white people, old people, veterans that were fighting, literally saying that Trump is ruining this country. See, they're not going to listen to me and you, Black, brown, you understand, when we say that Trump is literally ruining this country. This administration is going to ruin this country. But if they see Mima and Papa, you understand? They see their grandma, they see their veterans, their vets, their uncles, grandfathers, whoever, out there literally saying, I am a recovered MAGA supporter. Please do not support MAGA. If they were to see that in all 50 states, white people would have to think more. They would have to think more and open up their minds and get woke, the very thing that they don't want them to do. But y'all do know for a fact that if it was black people that was out there alongside with them, that's the crazy thing about it. Even if they were there, like some of them were there as allies during the Black Lives Matter protests, even if they were there, as soon as we were alongside them, best believe law enforcement would have been out there in full force. They would have been out there in full force. And best believe sometime during this week, we would have gotten some announcement of martial law being enacted. I just wanted to put that out there. So for all the people who is like, why weren't black people protesting? It was out of safety. And it's because we knew if we wasn't there, that it would actually be a peaceful protest. And it's not even to say that they were peaceful. If you were listening to some of the shit that these people were saying, they was rowdy, okay? But they still was met with respect. The type of respect that black people would have never been given. We've never been given that opportunity. We've never been given that privilege. And this is why we as black people have to figure out another way to boycott and another way to protest. Because going out there in the streets is literally a death wish.
Never seems to amaze me. The hatred and bigotry that is always on display towards black individuals in society. Here we are with the most recent marching and protesting on April 5th. There are people out there now stating that the protesting was done peacefully. It was done the right way. But of course, bigotry has to have a say in it and mention the reason why they were so peaceful is because black people were not there. Isn't that something else? Could you believe bigotry would actually say something like that amongst black individuals in society, deeming us as criminals, stereotypically labeling us as the bad guys in society? Where did they ever get that idea? Do you think that might have been passed down throughout history and something that is ingrained in them and they can't seem to simply evolve past their small thinking? Protests were peaceful because we were not there. No, that's not it. It's because police and the police departments and the judicial system disproportionately goes after black individuals in society. If this protest, and we all know, was at least maybe a half or even a fourth of black individuals that were involved, we would have seen the SWAT team. Hell, we would have seen the National Guard, because we've seen it in history. These things would happen in the past. We would have seen all types of escalation of force to manage the situation, which is a clear acknowledgement that black individuals are treated differently by law enforcement than white individuals. And that's why it seemed like it was peaceful.
So I'm looking at the April 5th footage, and I know that there were a lot of videos leading up to it to our community telling us to sit our black behinds down. I'm watching CNN and looking at all of the videos, and when they pan that audience, I ain't seen damn blackface. Assignment understood. I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us.
It's late, but I want to talk about protests real quick. There's some people who look like me that really want to get out in the streets. I'm one of them. I want to get out in the streets, but I know I can't. People who look like me and a few who don't understand that us getting out and protesting is a cheat code for Trump to speed run us towards martial law. He wants us to defend ourselves and feel the need to fight back. He knows the harm he's causing, and he doesn't care. We don't want to be out in the front lines right now. We don't want to be police punching bags. But we're not just resting out of spite. Many of us are tired. Many of us feel hurt. Some of us feel betrayed by communities that act like they never cared about us. Even when we're saying that this doesn't feel safe for us, we're being told, now isn't the time to sit on the sidelines. We all need to get out and fight. But even in all that, our rest, Black people's rest, is helpful. Our rest buys us all time. Our representatives won't and don't know how to fight for us or themselves. And the longer it takes to enact martial law, the more time we have to build our communities, coordinate, prepare, and resist more effectively. I've seen a few people equating the Montgomery bus boycott to a protest. It wasn't a mere protest. The boycott itself took 381 days and nearly bankrupted Montgomery city lines. It was a coordinated, sustained economic withdrawal that eventually led to the desegregation of Montgomery's transit system, but not before they almost bankrupted the bus service. One of the definitions of insanity is repeatedly doing the same thing while expecting different results. We've done this before. We know that protests and marches only bring attention to an issue. I won't say that protests are useless because they definitely have their place and their purpose. But throughout America's history, there have only been three things that were the cause or the solution to some of our biggest challenges. Those three things are votes, violence, and value. From the American Revolution to the end of an authoritarian administration, no positive, substantial, binding change has ever occurred in this country unless it's been affected by votes, violence, or the value of a dollar. Look up any historic issue, and one of those three will be either the cause or its end. The purpose of a protest is to bring attention to an issue that needs to be addressed. There's no need for Black people to protest or march to bring awareness to our collective issues. Everyone on the planet is aware of what's happening here, and our leadership and representatives don't seem to care, or they're ineffective. And this tangerine-tinted twat waffle wants us in the streets because he wants us in the fields. What we need is for everyone on the planet to do something that affects corporate and federal money, which will affect votes, which will hopefully prevent widespread or horrendous violence. Right now, Black people need to rest. So let us rest, so that we all can come back together and resist.
To the Black people that didn't get your behinds up and go to those protests, that's completely fine. And to the Black people that went to those protests, that's also completely fine. And to the Black people that don't give a damn, that's also completely fine. I think we have to realize that Black people worked 400 years for nothing. Not a crumb, not a dime, nothing, right? And then we got out, we had to work for our own money. We were promised something, reparations, we didn't get it. And we didn't completely get out because, slavery is still legal if you get locked up, all that other crap, but I digress. So if some Black people don't want to protest, that's fine. If some Black people want to protest in a different way, that's also fine. If some Black people want to hit the streets, that's also fine. I don't think we should be shaming each other about what we're doing. Because if Black people want to sit on their ass for the rest of their lives, for the rest of the time, we could do that. You feel what I'm saying? It doesn't really, it's not a bad thing. And when they call you lazy, they call you this, they call you that. So, I have a right to be this way, whether I am or not. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, no, don't feel bad that y'all didn't go to those protests. Protest in a different way. Don't spend your money in certain places. There wasn't only one way to protest back then anyway. And y'all keep saying our ancestors weren't punks trying to shame people. Don't do that. Okay? It's different ways to protest. It's 2025. You don't always got to hit the streets. They're going to attack you with money. They're going to attack you online. Media. So the way to, get to them is to get to their pockets. I'm seeing all kinds of videos, pictures, and stuff all across, America about the protests from April 5th. And I'm also loving the fact that in these pictures, I don't see nobody that look like me. And haven't you noticed, like, in the news and stuff, you're not really hearing too many, interactions with the police, tear gassing and messing them up, sticking dogs on them and stuff? Exactly. So you're black behind at home. Like we said before, this is their fight, not ours. You know what I did yesterday? I sat in my living room watching TV all day. You know what I was watching all day? Swamp People. Enjoying my Saturday. What did y'all do?
Having watched the above videos, it's clear enough black people felt happy with themselves not attending the April 5th protests. Many blacks claim if they had attended the protests, what brutality claims would have come into hand, like unwanted arrests from the police and the judicial system. Was staying at home a bold move by the black Americans? If you agree with the above statement, make sure to leave a comment on the comment section below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, folks.